A hush fell over the fandom this week after Lee Jun-Ho and YoonA's, still basking in newlywed headlines, were reportedly spotted at a hospital under circumstances that sources insist were anything but ordinary. What should have been a quiet, private outing has instead ignited a wildfire of speculation online, with whispers of baby on the way trending across fan communities and social platforms within hours. Now, multiple insiders familiar with the situation claim the visit did not resemble a routine checkup. According to accounts shared with this outlet, the pair arrived discreetly, kept interaction to an absolute minimum, appeared intent on avoiding attention, behavior that only intensified the rumors once word leaked. While no official confirmation has been issued and privacy remains paramount, the timing alone, just days after marriage reports surged, has left many asking the same question: why a hospital, and why now? In this exclusive report, we break down the timeline of the sighting, what witnesses say they noticed, and the key detail insiders argue separates this visit from any ordinary appointment, fueling a storm of questions that neither fans nor the industry can ignore. It began the way most celebrity storms do now, not with a statement, not with a press conference, but with a whisper, then a screenshot, then 1,000 people repeating the same sentence as if repetition alone could turn it into truth. Late in the week, posts started circulating across fan forums and social platforms claiming that Lee Jun-Ho and YoonA's had been spotted at a hospital. No outlet could immediately verify the original claim, and the first accounts were frustratingly vague: no clear date stamp, no confirmed location, no definitive photo that showed faces without doubt. And yet the story moved faster than facts ever do. Within hours, the rumor had a shape, a timeline, a narrative, built not from evidence, but from collective hunger for a headline that feels like destiny. As the timing was irresistible. Only days earlier, the couple had been dominating entertainment chatter with newlywed headlines and celebratory commentary. The public mood was already heightened, romantic, euphoric, primed for a next chapter. So when the word hospital entered the conversation, it didn't land as a neutral detail. It landed like a match to a room full of gasoline. Suddenly, every ordinary possibility, routine checkup, a visit for a friend, scheduled consultation, was pushed aside by the most dramatic interpretation. The internet did what it always does: it chose the version that makes the heart race. And then it got worse. As the rumor gained traction, secondary posts appeared, accounts claiming someone saw them. A friend of a friend works nearby. A staff member recognized him. The language was always careful enough to avoid responsibility, but confident enough to feel real. People began analyzing unrelated photos, zooming into backgrounds, comparing outfits from past appearances, drawing lines between dates like investigators chasing a clue. A single uncertain detail multiplied into a web of proof, and every new repost made the web look thicker. The atmosphere shifted from curiosity to urgency. Fans who would normally protect the couple's privacy split into factions almost overnight. One side pleaded for calm: don't spread unverified information, don't invade their lives, turn two people into a storyline. The other side argued that the discussion was inevitable: they're public figures, it's already out there, everyone is talking anyway. Between those poles, the rumor kept climbing, because there's a particular kind of tension that takes hold when a story hints at something life-changing but refuses to confirm it. It's the tension of a door left slightly open, with everyone leaning in to see what's behind it. The most chilling part wasn't what people claimed to know. It was what no one could confirm. No official representative stepped forward with a clear denial. No agency posted a clean, dismissive line to shut it down. No direct statement appeared to restore the narrative to something simple and safe. In celebrity news, silence is often interpreted as strategy, but online, silence becomes a canvas. People paint their own conclusions onto it, and then defend those conclusions as if they were personal investments. And because this rumor carried one specific implication, one that is emotionally explosive, culturally resonant, irresistibly clickable, every minute without clarification felt like an invitation for speculation to grow teeth. You could feel the pressure building in real time. Comment sections turned into countdown clocks. If it's not true, why not say so? If it is true, deserve privacy. If it's medical, don't ask. Pregnancy, fans should know. The contradiction wasn't accidental, it was the entire engine of the frenzy. People wanted boundaries and access, dignity and details, respect and revelation. And the longer the rumor hung in the air, the more those competing desires collided. Behind the scenes, entertainment circles operate on a familiar rule: when a story touches health, family planning, or anything that could affect a public figure's personal life, informations rarely come quickly, if they come at all. Even legitimate information is often delayed, filtered through legal caution and human emotion. But online, delays are read as clues. The gap between what's happening and what's said becomes a stage where imagination performs at full volume. That's why this particular rumor didn't fade. Escalated. Because it wasn't just about where they were reportedly seen. It was about what that location symbolized. Hospitals are not neutral backdrops in celebrity storytelling. They imply seriousness, vulnerability, hidden news, altering conversations. And when two of the most watched stars of their generation become associated with that setting, right after a wave of marriage-related headlines, people don't just ask what happened, they ask, what does it mean? Still, amid the noise, detail kept resurfacing, subtle, inconsistent, and yet strangely persistent across multiple posts, the suggestion that this visit carried a level of privacy and urgency that onlookers found unusual. Not proof, not confirmation, just a repeated hint that something about the moment felt different. And in a rumor-driven storm, it is all it takes. Because when the public senses a secret, it doesn't wait for permission. It leans closer. It refreshes the feed again. It watches for the tiniest change, a delayed schedule, a new absence, a missing ring shot, a too wide jacket, a too careful angle. It turns ordinary life into evidence, and evidence into verdict. By the time the story reached its loudest point, it wasn't even one rumor anymore, it was dozens, stacked on top of each other, each one feeding the next. And somewhere beneath all of them sat a single unresolved question, the one nobody could stop circling. If this was truly routine, why did it never feel routine at all? The first wave was built on shock. The second wave was built on something far more dangerous: pattern hunting. Once the initial hospital sighting posts spread, conversation stopped asking whether it happened and started arguing over what it must mean. And that's when the atmosphere turned from gossip to obsession, because in celebrity culture, speculation doesn't need a photo when it has a timeline. Needs is a sequence of moments that can be rearranged until they look like fate. Fans began rewinding the last few days like a thriller, through appearances, captions, and schedules for anything that felt even slightly off. Missed public engagement became a sign. A delayed update became a signal. A simple change in styling became a cover. It didn't matter that none of these things were unusual on their own. Together, in the hands of a hungry internet, they formed a story. And once a story forms, it starts recruiting evidence. A handful of posts claimed the couple arrived discreetly, avoiding the most visible entrances. Another set insisted their time inside was longer than expected. Others argued the opposite, that it was quick, controlled, and clearly planned. Some swore they saw masked staff guiding them through quieter corridors. Others insisted there was a vehicle waiting, positioned in a way that suggested preparation. Each version contradicted the next. But instead of weakening the rumor, the contradictions made it stronger, because the audience began to treat every conflicting detail as proof that something was being protected. Then came the most potent fuel of all, the agency's restraint. In an industry where representatives often issue swift statements to cool down speculation, the lack of immediate clarity became the loudest sound in the room. It wasn't that no one said anything, it was that nothing arrived with a clean finality fans were desperate for. No firm denial. No straightforward correction. A neat line to close the door. And in the absence of an official narrative, the internet didn't pause. It filled the space. A new tone emerged, less excited, more tense. People began to whisper that this wasn't just another rumor because the setting itself was too loaded, too sensitive, too human. Health-related stories carry weight. The most sensational corners of fandom know that some topics are dangerous to touch. The tension wasn't only about curiosity, it was about fear of crossing a line, mixed with the irresistible urge to cross it anyway. That's when the emotional stakes rose. 'Cause once a rumor starts orbiting around something as intimate as family planning or medical care, it stops being just entertainment. It's a moral battlefield. Those urging restraint were accused of being naive. Those demanding answers were accused of being invasive. Every comment section turned into a tug-of-war between privacy and entitlement. Between let them live and we deserve to know. Yet, Even the most cautious voices couldn't ignore a certain uneasy truth. The story was not fading. It was consolidating. One reason was timing. Another was the public's appetite for life milestones. But there was also something else, something more subtle, something insiders in entertainment circles understand instinctively. Some stories don't explode because they're true, they explode because they feel plausible. And to many watchers, the rumor felt eerily plausible, because it aligned too perfectly with a narrative arc people already wanted: romance, marriage, then a new secret chapter. It's how modern celebrity rumors become self-sustaining. Don't just report, they predict. As the chatter intensified, a different kind of claim began to surface, quieter, less flashy, more unsettling in its confidence. Instead of saying baby, these posts hinted at a specific reason the visit would have required extra privacy. The language shifted from wild guessing to insinuation. Not confirmation, never confirmation, but the careful phrasing of people who want you to believe they know more than they're allowed to say. Not routine. Not random. What people think. 3 short phrases, repeated in slightly different forms, cropped up across multiple accounts. And although none could be verified, landed with impact because they suggested a direction without stating it outright. It was the narrative equivalent of footsteps behind a locked door. You can't see anything, but you can't stop imagining what's happening. While another layer of pressure formed around the couple's public image. Because when 2 stars are known for professionalism, poise, fully managed boundaries, the public reads their composure as a kind of promise. Fans believe they can interpret them. They believe they can sense when something changes. And so every normal act, an absence, a silence, a lack of candid photos, was interpreted as strategy. Even kindness became suspicious. Discretion became evidence. And that's where the rumor turned truly volatile. Because once the audience starts believing they're watching a secret unfold in real time, they begin to demand the climax. They don't want slow, careful truth. They want the cinematic moment, the reveal, the confirmation. The headline that makes everything click into place. But here's what most people don't realize: behind the scenes, stories like this are rarely simple. Hospital visits rarely have one meaning. Public figures rarely have the luxury of being ordinary in public spaces. And the truth, whatever it is, often gets buried under the most marketable interpretation. Still, this outlet spoke to sources who claim they understand why the visit drew attention in the first place, sources who insist there was a detail that separated this from any casual appointment. Not a rumor stacked on rumor. Something concrete enough to make even seasoned industry watchers pause. We're not revealing it yet, not because it's sensational, but because it's sensitive. Because if what we've been told is accurate, the real story isn't just why a hospital. It's what kind of visit it was, and why the timing matters more than anyone has realized. By the time the rumor reached its loudest pitch, the story had already hardened into a single, irresistible assumption: a hospital visit after marriage must mean a baby. It was neat. It was cinematic. Kind of narrative the internet loves because it feels like an ending and a beginning at the same time. But here's what insiders say most people got wrong. Sources familiar with the situation tell this outlet the visit that sparked the frenzy was not routine for a reason that has nothing to do with pregnancy speculation, and everything to do with why they were there. Who the visit was for. Why the couple moved the way they did. According to 2 independent accounts we spoke to, the couple's presence was linked to a private, prearranged visit connected to a children's ward, an appearance that was deliberately kept off the radar to protect patients and families from sudden media attention. One source described the atmosphere as quiet and tightly managed, with a kind of controlled movement that can easily look suspicious from a distance, minimal exposure, limited staff in close proximity, and an emphasis on keeping hallways clear. Words, the secrecy wasn't a tell. It was a boundary. This is the detail insiders say separates the sighting from any casual appointment. The couple's visit was reportedly coordinated to avoid disruption, not to hide a personal announcement. That's why, sources claim, there was an unusual level of discretion, why onlookers felt the energy was different, why the moment didn't resemble the everyday flow of patients coming and going. And that's also why the rumor machine misread the scene. When celebrities enter a hospital, they rarely enter as ordinary people. Even if they were there for something completely non-medical, support, charity, a scheduled private visit, the environment demands heightened control. A hospital is not a red carpet. It's a place filled with vulnerability, fear, hope, grief, relief. If a famous couple appears unannounced, tension can become chaos within minutes. So privacy isn't just for them, it's for everyone around them. Insiders say this is exactly why the couple's behavior looked too careful to casual observers, moving quickly, keeping their heads down. Interaction. Avoiding crowded entrances. From the outside, these choices read like a secret. From the inside, sources describe them as standard protective measures for a sensitive setting, especially where children and families are involved. Still, one question remains: if this explanation is accurate, why hasn't there been a clean, immediate correction? Entertainment insiders point to the uncomfortable reality of modern celebrity coverage. Even denying a rumor can feed it. A statement meant to shut down speculation can become a new headline, sparking fresh scrutiny, renewed interest, and even more invasive questions. A hospital is involved. Agencies often move cautiously, weighing privacy, legal risk, ethical line that should never be crossed. So where does that leave the baby on the way frenzy? Right where it should have been from the beginning, unconfirmed and irresponsible to treat as fact. The couple has not publicly addressed pregnancy rumors, and there is no verified evidence supporting them. Sources do suggest is that the hospital sighting, while real to those who witnessed it, was not routine because it involved a deliberately private presence in a space that demands respect. Because it signaled a personal medical revelation. And that's the twist that makes this story both less sensational and far more human. Because if the loudest rumor was built on the assumption that the couple was hiding a life-changing secret, the quieter truth insiders describe points to something else entirely, a situation where privacy wasn't a shield for scandal, but a safeguard for dignity. In the end, the most revealing part of this story may not be what people think they saw. It may be what they didn't stop to consider. In a world where a single sighting can become a headline, and a headline can become a verdict, Lee Jun-Ho and YoonA's reported hospital appearance turned into a wildfire for one reason: people wanted a story that felt bigger than real life. A secret. A promise. A next chapter written in bold letters before the ink was even dry. But the closer you look, the more the frenzy reveals something uncomfortable, not about them, but about us. How quickly we rush to conclusions. How easily we confuse silence with confession. How readily we build fantasies on fragments, then demand strangers live inside the narrative we created. If insiders are correct, what happened wasn't a sensational reveal. It was the opposite, a moment handled with care. Certainly kept quiet out of respect for a space where cameras and curiosity have no place. And that reality, ordinary in intention, extraordinary only because of who they are, may be why the truth feels less explosive than the rumor, yet far more meaningful. Now, the only responsible conclusion is the simplest one: there is no confirmed baby news, no verified statement, no justification for turning private circumstances into public certainty. Until the couple chooses to share anything, if they ever do, the rest is speculation dressed up as inevitability. Still, one thing is clear: the internet may move fast, but truth has its own pace. And sometimes, the most powerful story isn't the one that shocks, it's the one that reminds us where the lines should be. Thank you for reading. If you'd like, I can also craft a sharper final paragraph that ends on a stronger cliffhanger. Or write a legal safe disclaimer line styled like entertainment exclusives while keeping the dramatic tone.